ahí donde se está moviendo.
Red-headed barbet.
We're gonna be birding in one of the paradise for backyard birding.
¡Ay, sí, veo toda la cara!
Yeah, got it.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Birders Show. As always, please do remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel, follow us on our social media channels, and check out our Patreon in the link below so you can support our mission to make birding more accessible to people all around the world. Diego, as always, pleasure to be with you here. And well, why don't you tell the people at home where we are?
It's great to see you again, and it's great to be back in the field. And we are in the Western Andes. We're gonna be birding in one of the, I would say, paradise for backyard birding. We're going to be facing both the Pacific slope and the Cauca Valley slope, both west and east of the ridge. And it's going to be cloud forest with a lot of humidity, hopefully a lot of birds. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be relatively relaxed birding.
For this first episode of the three-part series that we'll be doing in Valle, Cauca region, we're kind of starting off gently, right? Like you said, this is backyard birding, but some of the best backyard birding in the world.
Why not to take it easy if you can at the beginning, you know? Enjoying great birds, some endemics, beautiful places by local people. And, the most important thing, still doing our cool mission of sharing the love for birds with young kids and young chaps with the support of Kowa.
I think it's time that we get going and start birding.
Let's go for it.
Let's go. Looking forward to it. So we mentioned at the beginning of this episode that we're going to be in places that, for me, are some of the best backyard birding places in the world. I can't think of many other places that I've been to that I've heard of where in people's backyards you can see the quantity and quality of birds that we've seen in these episodes.
No doubt. A few minutes from one of the Colombia's main cities, and you get real campesinos and some people that has decided to come living here, just offering their gardens and their backyards and their houses to go and see endemics and goodies. And beautiful, colorful birds. It couldn't be better.
And actually, speaking of that, it brings me on quite nicely to the first place that we visited during this episode, Donia Dora's place. And she has a really beautiful, fascinating story.
Place we all have part of our hearts there, isn't it? Like everyone that visits Donia Dora leaves a little bit of their heart and brings a little bit of the energy of this place.
So Donia Dora's story is, they've been there as a family in that house, selling originally empanadas and lunches and coffee.
A las empanadas le han hecho mucha bulla, pero más por las aves. Porque el que ha venido, sea de voz a voz, me han sacado fotos, me han subido al Facebook. Como que no creíamos, como que va a venir gente a mirar pájaros. No, pero va a venir mucho turista. Yo puedo decir que ya vivo de las aves y no solo yo. Se ha vinculado mi familia, mis hijos.
We're here on a very, very special place. This is the western slope of the Western Andes. All this rain that you see is, going down towards the Pacific. This is the most beautiful cloud forest you will have on the Chocó biogeographical area. The Chocó is this humid cloud forest and lowland elevation forest that covers North Ecuador, all the Pacific of Colombia and Panama. Yeah, and it's due to all the humidity from the ocean stopping in these mountains and just raining again. The avistamiento de aves Doña Dora is one of the only few places where you can see so many Chocó endemics together.
And speaking of Chocó endemic birds, we can't talk about Doña Dora's place and not talk about the real star bird of the show. You know what I'm talking about.
She has a lot of star birds.
She has a lot of star birds.
It's hard to pick.
There is really one bird that pulls birders into that place. And the funny thing is, it's a bird that actually a few years ago was quite hard to see there. It wasn't that common, but over the years, the work that the family have done there to leave food out, to bring in these artificial kind of nesting trunks, means that it's now probably, I would say, the best place in the world.
It's not.
It is the best place.
It's not probably, it is the best.
To see toucan barbet.
Toucan barbet, as the name says, is one of these relatives of toucans and barbets. It's in the barbet family. It's kind of a chunky, clowny, colorful, tiny, toucanlet with a tiny little bill. And this thing is restricted to the biogeographical Chocó in Ecuador and Colombia. And what is cool about it is that Doña Dora allows you to see a lot of cool, beautiful natural history. 25, 30 years ago in La Planada in South Colombia, in the border in between Ecuador and Colombia, there was a study there showing how toucan barbets were cooperative breeders. So a couple has, 3, 4 babies, and from these babies, a couple at least stays the next brood or the next breeding period to be as helpers in the nest. So they have all the nephews and all the uncles and everyone, all the family helping. So at Doña Dora, we could see up to 6 toucan barbets.
If not more, and an active nest.
With babies inside. So that's like, mom and dad and all the helpers from this season. Probably for the next season, they're gonna kick some of these guys out, the older ones. But it's not only about like going birding and seeing beautiful, charismatic birds, endemics, and growing your list. It's about learning a little bit and, just getting a little bit of this biological side of the story that is absolutely amazing. Not many birds in the Americas are cooperative breeders.
There's a whole load of really amazing tanagers, hummingbirds, a wealth of species. We registered 70 odd species on our eBird list that day, and that's without really sweating it.
Morning and a little bit of the afternoon.
Yeah, we didn't bird particularly hard. We just kind of hung around the house, enjoyed the place, spending time with the family. We're filming these episodes thanks to our partners at Kowa Sporting Optics, and one of the things that they've really committed to is helping us in our mission to make birding more accessible to people around the world. And yesterday at Donia Dora, we met a really special young birder.
Junior Torres, very young chap from a very humble family down the road from Doña Dora in an area called El Danubio. Actually, great birding there. And this is one of the areas that was affected by violence back in the time in Colombia. So these guys, these families of these guys never got it easy. And one of the cool things is that birding had kind of became one of these weird activities that some of these guys are engaged. So local birders from Cali and from Buenaventura have been working on social projects, and Junior is part of this group of young birders, probably 10 guys nowadays, and they have gear, they have some beans, even a scope, but he doesn't have his own.
Ya averigué unos, están como en 180,000. Voy a ver si los negocio para pues tener los míos ahí.
Si te compras unos de 180,000, lo más seguro es que no van a tener impermeable por dentro.
Sí, tienen.
Entonces aquí en esta región se te pueden honguear de nuevo.
This is one of the best places for birding in all of Colombia, but the really fun part of this day is going to be giving him the tools to, learn more as a birder, maybe become a guide, grow as a birder, and just, have more fun and be able to go birding by himself.
¿Y qué tal si nosotros te ahorramos tiempo a vos?
Sí.
Chris, ¿será que le ahorramos tiempo?
Claro.
Y te donamos unos binoculares para vos. ¿Te gustaría?
Sí, son míos.
Son tuyos.
Uy, gracias.
Con todo el gusto, hermano.
Muchas gracias.
No, para nada.
Estos nuevos binoculares para mí pues significan mucho porque antes me tocaba que pedir unos prestados y pues no los tenía a tiempo completo. En cambio estos los tengo 24/7 y pues puedo salir más de seguido a pajarear. Con los binoculares me gustaría salir a guiar, o sea, eso me apasiona y pues por mí lo haría todos los días.
Tronco vertical.
Ahí donde se está moviendo.
Junior just found us one of the best raptors in the Chocó. There's a barred hawk, Morphnacus princeps. It's a medium size, let's say 35, 40 centimeters, big chunky, it's moving, big chunky hawk with a gray head, yellow cere on the bill, and all, black and white barring. It's a neat beast.
So
I just love the fact that these young kids can connect with nature in that sense, because it's not only about like a hobby to go seeing it could be a way of life for him. He wants to study biology. He could be a local guide.
yeah, 20 years old, and he was drawing like he'd been doing it for decades, right?
And we got to see red-headed barbet, like one of the cousins of the toucan barbet, in the feeders, And then he started just to sketch it and to paint it, illustrate it in front of us.
But to be able to provide a little bit of a boost to some of these young kids in these areas and give them the tools to continue their birding journey is really special.
Absolutely. Giving to him the beans was absolutely a pleasure.
Earlier in this episode, we talked about Donia being one of the best backyard birding spots in the world. But to be honest, today we went to a place that runs it pretty close. La Florida birding on the 18th kilometer outside Cali, Kilómetro 18. I mean, it's a tight contest between Donia and La Florida for best backyard birding, right?
Yeah. And especially, I mean, all these places are nearby the city, but the Kilómetro 18 is also very special because it has kind of a different origin, you know. A lot of the people living there are people from Cali or nearby that used to have like a little holiday weekend farm, and they established there by, you know, for some reason.
Well, it's 2,000 meters above sea level, right? So it's kind of like where I live in Bogota.
A little higher.
People go from colder, higher altitude down to hot places for their weekends away, whereas here in Cali, people escape the heat of Cali up to 2,000 meters to get a bit of colder climate.
This is one of the coolest birding places around, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Javier, the owner's house, just outside of Cali, and he started feeding the birds here after some local friends came up and saw that he had all this unbelievable forest right behind his house.
Las aves son las mejores embajadoras de la naturaleza y de su conservación. Y aquí llegan las personas y pueden apreciarlas en detalle, muy cerca, con muy buena luz, y eso hace que las personas empiecen contemplándolas, luego empiezan a comprender sus hábitats, su vida, sus migraciones, su reproducción. Por ese camino terminan convertidos en conservacionistas.
So we're currently in a small hide behind the house at La Florida, and we're waiting for a family of chestnut wood quails to show up. Chestnut wood quail is endemic to Colombia. It's found in all three cordilleras, all three ranges of the Andes. It was only recently first found in the Eastern Andes. And this is a bird that, you know, is quite widespread in Colombia. It calls a lot, you hear it a lot, and you can see it with a lot of patience and effort. But here, they come to a little feeder with corn, and they come really close, they're really relaxed. There's a family, there are some adults, some babies. I've seen billions of times this species, but never, like... And it's just an absolute treat having such rare endemic birds. To be honest, a little bit like the chickens in the back garden, but endemic to Colombia.
And this place was absolutely special for me because I've been drooling to go to La Florida. You know, not only seeing these amazing birds, but they've tweaked a lot of different areas. So even the banana feeders were tweaked especially, so a special bird like multicolored tanager, one of the most charismatic Colombian endemics and probably one of the most charismatic birds in the Americas with how many colors? 5, 6 colors?
Surely one of the most beautiful birds in South America.
They are restricted to the Central and Western Andes, you know, elevations of 2,000 meters, and it's not an easy bird to see. They go in canopy mixed flocks, sometimes in couples, but with a plethora of other birds, with a big group of other birds. And you know, when they come feeding, they don't stay forever, like preening and doing lazy stuff. They're like very active. So even at the feeders, and that's what struck me most, they have like amazing perches where the bird has to stretch a little bit to get the banana. So it's like slower doing everything. They even knew like, oh, the red-headed barbet is eating the bananas. This is the best moment for the tanager to come because he has to make the line. So it's gonna stay on the perch.
Yes,
like,
it's gonna perch up, you know, in a tree, waiting to come down to the feeder.
And then photographers and birders can do their job.
Yeah, we should say, I mean, La Florida is obviously an amazing place to go as a birder, whether you're a hardcore birder or a novice birder, but it's also really set up with photographers in mind. Really great place if you're a bird photographer. Today we had a really nice experience because we were lucky enough to spend time with a couple of young brothers, 7 and 10 years old, really just getting into birds, but super passionate and engaged.
Ay, mira.
Uy, ¿ese cómo se llama? ¿Lo han visto antes?
No, ese no.
Súper larguísima la cola, ¿cierto?
Sí.
Muy bacana. Multicolor de abajo, el tucán.
Mira, arriba hay el tucán. Arriba hay el tucán. Arriba hay el tucán. Ay, sí, veo toda la cara.
Bacano, ¿sí o no?
Veo toda la cara con el cuerpo.
¿Qué color es el ojo?
Como negro y marrón, el pico tiene blanco. Y aquí lo
Tiene una raya blanca acá.
Sí. Uy, el colibrí tan cerca.
El rumbito, el colibrí más chiquito. We're lucky enough to donate them a book that we have, Spare Book Field Guide of Colombia. And they were happy watching birds with us. We were happy with them a lot.
They were fun. They were fun. Like really
fun.
funny, engaged, really enjoying the
I
birds.
love how birding is growing, you know, like young kids not watching much television on a weekend, but going to see birds and hiking the forest. That's the key combination.
Que los niños conozcan más, los niños de la ciudad conozcan más lo que es la vida, qué es un animal, qué es esto.
You couldn't ask for a much nicer place to spend a day or two. I mean, beautiful setting, native flowers everywhere, hummingbirds, great food, wonderful hosts.
Great food, wonderful hosts, and again, that family feeling, you know. It was my birthday, and it was also the owner's birthday.
We didn't know this until today.
Yeah.
But you share a birthday with Javier, the owner of La Florida.
And it felt like just, you know, a family trip.
And of course, we have to say, I mean, we're here in the studio right now. People at home might be wondering where we are. We came back after we were at La Florida to this unbelievably lovely bird lodge where we're staying right now, Araucana Lodge.
Are you liking it?
I've never been here before, and I hope to be back as soon as possible. I mean, I can honestly say I don't think there is a much more luxurious or comfortable dedicated bird lodge in Colombia right now than Araucana.
Up to date, Araucana is no doubt, like in the birding sector, the poshiest, nicest, most comfortable place to stay. So, you know, Araucana Lodge is a relatively new place. Its name comes from a huge Araucaria tree.
But we're also surrounded by forest around here. There's actually really nice birding here in the garden, so you can kind of come back from your morning somewhere else or a couple of days birding and chill here with freshly grown coffee, food from the garden, and enjoy the birds just behind the house.
Local food, local families. They also have a greenhouse here.
So the idea is to be as sustainable as we can. We grow between 25 and 35 different products. These products we select and we serve them in our kitchen. So we do farm to table here where our guests get to experience seeing how the food they're eating is grown. It's been very enriching experience to be able to see this kind of tourism grow in Colombia because it's changed people's lives, but I think also changing the lives of the people that come to visit Colombia and experience not only the birdiest country in the world, but a place where you're always welcomed with open arms.
This place is a wonderful kind of backyard birding lodge in its own right.
One of the busiest banana and hummingbird feeders for an afternoon that I've been at. Big woodpeckers and, you know, a plethora of hummingbirds, green jays.
Well, that's the thing. Some birds that you don't always see at feeders,
but a lot of good birds.
Because there was a whole load of palm tanagers, of acorn woodpeckers, blue-grey tanagers, but also lineated woodpecker coming down to feeders. You don't see that every day. Yeah, I mean, it's safe to say, I think, that this area where we've recorded this first episode of the Birder Show in Valle del Cauca is surely one of the highlights of any birder's itinerary, not just in Colombia, not just in South America, but probably in the world.
Yeah. And as far as backyard birding, again, as we've been thinking it and feeling it, it's probably unbeatable or almost unbeatable.
Yeah, I think this is as good as it gets. So, I mean, that about wraps it up for episode 1. I can't wait for episodes 2 and 3. We've got some more surprises in store. I'm not going to give too much away, but really different profile of birds, new ecosystems, some surprises for some young birders thanks to our partners at Kowa. It's going to be exciting.
Probably we're gonna have to sweat more for our birds, literally.
Yeah. We've been a bit spoiled in episode 1, I think.
It's always good to have an easy start, you know, and start in the cloud forest, feeders. But yeah, some more good experiences with beautiful young chaps, you know, supporting them. I'm gonna love that. You know.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice. I'm looking forward to it. And of course, if you've enjoyed this episode and you want to see more of our adventures in Valle del Cauca, Colombia, please do remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel, leave a comment. Of course, all of our social media channels are in the description. You can support us on Patreon to help us with our mission of making birding more accessible to people around the world. And of course, we have to thank the people who've generously allowed us to make these episodes. Donia, Dora, Javier at La Florida, Christopher here at Araucana, and of course, our partners at Kowa Sporting Optics, who, thankfully for us, share our vision of making birding more accessible to people around the world. Diego.
And more fun.
Happy birthday once more.
Gracias.
Cheers, it's been a joy as always.
And see you tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.
Episode 2 coming soon.